But you never know that you could. And when you feel that way, ain't it good, good dancing in the red and gold. Dancing in the red and gold.
Hello and welcome to a rather spectacular edition of 49er Faithful UK Live. I am a very excited Nick Ludlam.
And I'm an equally excited Paul Hoff.
And what else is there to say other than, how about them Niners? Guys, we did it. We tossed out supposedly the best defense in the league. We destroyed them. But before we get into the wondrous events that were Sunday night, Paul, my friend, how are you? Have you actually stopped smiling yet?
Well, Nick, happy Brocktober to all those 49ers fans out there, because there's nothing better than not only beating those Cowboys, but absolutely demolishing those Cowboys on prime time for the biggest margin of victory that we have ever seen. And it was over at the end of third quarter. Seeing Sam Darnold come on that field at the end, Nick, I am absolutely beaming. I haven't stopped sharing the tweets on Twitter, the vibes. Let's enjoy this, 49ers fans, because non-49ers fans spent all last week telling us that them Cowboys were coming to Levi Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Micah Parsons was going to come in there and show us what an edge rusher looks like. Public announcement. Has anybody seen Micah Parsons since he went into Levi Stadium?
Nope. No, he's still missing. He's apparently he's on the side of a milk carton at the moment. So they are looking. But like I say, what a result! 32-point winners. It was a demolition job from start to finish. Absolutely incredible. It was amazing. I felt sorry for my neighbors. They were literally, the poor people underneath me were banging on their ceiling by the end of the first quarter. I was expecting some horrible letters under my door. They didn't come. Thank God. I've still got a home. It's all good. But it was just special. I was tweeting all night. I was went straight onto the spaces afterwards. I was just beaming. I had a wonderful Monday. What a victory Monday. I have never strutted like that in all my life. And I said on Twitter, I still have my walking stick. My legs weren't feeling great. And I can promise you all that using a walking stick really, really accentuates that strut. I had it properly going. What a game. Paul, where do you want to start, mate?
Well, I have to jump in there, Nick. So prime time for the people across the pond joining us was a nice 1:15 in the morning start for me and Nick. Nick won't mind me sharing. He lives alone, but he does have neighbours. I have children and a partner that works. So I was warned quite clearly there's no noise. Now, if you were eagle-eyed enough at the start, you'll have seen me celebrating as Nick came into the show. Now, Nick, I have that fine art of celebrating without making a noise, because I tell you what, I don't know how I didn't get into trouble on Sunday night. I just want to give a shout out to the Discord group at this time. So it was the first time that I've engaged on the Discord game day thread, and the banter was flowing. It was early hours of the morning. Some of it was close to the bone. I know we're family friendly, but I can't share some of it on here. But you know, it's been such a good game, Nick, that for a primetime game, I wasn't expecting to get into bed till about 5 a.m. And I knew I was at work at 9:30. And by like 4:10, I knew I was getting to bed. Getting to sleep was a different matter. But when that alarm clock went off at 9:17, because I was working from home, quick shower, logged in at 9:30, my boss sent me a message. Your team win last night, Paul? I was like, did my team win? Did my team win? So, to be fair, 5-0, baby. Victory Tuesday. We can only start at one place. Now, you are technically host tonight, and I think I know where you're going to start. So, whilst you bring us home, so to speak, Nick, I'm just going to give a shout out to the chat. So, we're joined in the house by David.
How you
Satisfying
doing,
win.
mate?
Go Niners. Bebop, I'm sure you enjoyed that victory. Go Niners. Joined in the house by Colin. Says evening all. Dan, let's go, buddy. Great to see you. Mr.
Magnificent.
Peplo is in the house. Doesn't get much easier than that, boys. It certainly doesn't, Jay. It certainly doesn't. And Neil, I'm sure you're smiling like the rest of us. Evening, chaps. Still buzzing now, almost 2 days later. So, and last one that I'll put up before you go on. The hat to rock Club 85 tonight. We'll get into that later, no, Wayne. I think Nick...
He's coming. Don't you worry about that. We'll be talking about King George. Don't worry about that. But yeah, I think Alec has stolen the thunder there. It is Brocktober. There is only one place to start. It is the franchise QB. It is the Brock star himself. Because, what a Brock party it was last night on Sunday night. He was fantastic. Statistically, not a fantastic performance, but he went out there and just surgically took them apart. Just absolutely, just mullered them. Their defense didn't have a chance. I know they were missing one of the best corners. They mentioned during the show on Sunday night that without one of their corners, I forget Diggs, that's his name. Without Diggs, their pass defense has dipped to being the 30th best in the league. That doesn't matter when you're claiming what the Cowboys were claiming they were and what Micah Parsons is still claiming they are for some reason on his podcast. Brock took them apart. He destroyed them. He dismantled them. Their defense was horrific. They were an awful team. I never want to hear this Cowboys team mentioned in the same breath as the San Francisco 49ers. They are nothing to us. Brock ruined them, mate. What did you think of him?
Well, people, come closer. Let's say it all together. Brock Purdy is good. Yeah. Brock Purdy is the real deal. Now, the 49er Faithful UK have been all aboard the Brock Express. My good friend Nick was there at Levi Stadium when Brock took to the field.
Yeah, baby.
El Presidente would not forgive me if I didn't mention that the start of last season, when we recorded our pre-season pod, Lee gave a cheeky nod to Brock Purdy being the quarterback to lead us to the Super Bowl. Now, a few people mocked El Presidente. He was just a year too early. Because let's face it, as it stands at the moment, any non-Niners fans watching this, you can clip this, you can tweet it, you can come at us in our DMs. We are going to enjoy this week. Now, he finished the night, Nick, with sprinkle of stats in, what we're known for. 17 for 24, 252 yards and 4 touchdowns, leading the 49ers to 42 points. Now, I know you don't do score predictions, and I do. So on the pod, we've got a bit of friendly competition going. And when I say friendly, if you listen to the pod, you know it's anything but friendly. Now, I'd gone for a 34-17 win before the game. And a few people, Nick, said I was bold.
You were bold. You were restrained, Paul. That's what that was. You were restrained. You knew in your heart of hearts it was going to be more.
Now, I shared a stat with Nick off air, and I'm going to go back on it. So I saw a tweet on Monday. I have many tweets saved, so I had to screenshot this one. So all 4 of Brock's touchdown passes were from outside the tackle box, Nick. That was the most in a game since the next gen stats have begun. He completed 7 of 10 passes over 10 air yards for 166 yards, 3 touchdowns, and Brock leads the NFL in the completion percentage at 72.1% on such passes this season. But what's that I hear you say, Nick? He's a system quarterback. What's that I hear you say? Brock Purdy's not elite. Now, the non-Niners who were hitting me with the Dallas stick have quickly retracted that and said, oh, no. Dallas wasn't the real test. Cleveland Browns is the real test. Now, we will get into the Browns a little bit later because it's watch party week, but we're not done talking about Brock Purdy.
Oh, no.
So I have a couple of throws from Sunday's epic performance that I want to talk about. But I want your take. Like we've just said there, he completed 17 for 24. There's a few passes that have got people talking. I want your thoughts on what I think will be on the same page as me.
I've got a horrible feeling they could very well be, but you never know. We might have a nice, pleasant surprise. Actually, my favorite pass of his throughout the entire night wasn't even a scoring touchdown, despite all 4 that were available on offer. It's that one to, it's the one to Ayuk. Ayuk's coming over the middle, and he has just, it's perfect. It's right across. He has put it right in between the 2 layers of the defense. And it's where only Ayuk can go and get it. And it's what it goes and tees up later on as well. It's a beautiful pass. It just sails over the top of that first line defense. The second line just hasn't got a hope in hell. Ayuk's all over that. And there is only one man coming down with that kind of pass, and it is Brandon Ayuk, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. It was magnificent. Absolutely magnificent. And it set up that reverse pass for the touchdown beautifully. Because you've got Ayuk coming over the middle. The entire defense is so scared of Brandon Ayuk, they forget George Kittle. What are you doing forgetting about the best tight end in the league, you absolute morons? And he's got a free run. A free run. A man of George Kittle's caliber should never, ever be that far open. It was criminal defending. But it's one amazing pass that has gone and teed it up, because as Ayuk's come over the middle, he's taken the entire secondary with him. They've all gone with Brandon. They're all scared of Brandon. Brandon's taken them off over there, little walk around the pond, and George Kittle has gone, thank you very much. I'll have that touchdown. Ruined them. Absolutely ruined them. And again, it starts with Brock Purdy. It was a lovely play call as well. I know that the play was used, was it earlier on in the day by the Lions? It doesn't matter. It's a copycat league. Teams are going to be copying us. We're going to be copying them. If it works, it works. But the Niners used it to perfection. And Brock, once again, was on the money with both of those passes. They could have easily gone astray had he not, just taken his small eye off the ball. But he didn't. He didn't. They used one pass to tee up another, to tee up another, to tee up another. It was an absolute clinic. I don't know.
So what you're telling me is Kyle Shanahan scripts players that lulls the defense into a false sense of security and then hits them with another play. Now I'm smiling, Nick. Ty, me and you were called bold because we thought we would double the points. I'll take a 32-point winning margin over the Cowboys.
No.
Now that play you're talking about will forever be known on the 49er Faithful UK as the Detroit play. So I am going to have to share a story with you now. So as I mentioned at the start, I jumped on the Discord game day thread. I'd stepped away from the game day threads towards the end of last season because doing the shows and the podcasts, I tended to make notes whilst I'm watching the game and things to talk about. Now, this season, I've done it a little bit different, and I've decided to take the advice of Javier Vega, who was the first podcaster that I really started to follow, Nick. He's the one that I won the residency hat from. And he stepped away from this because he said it stopped his enjoyment as a fan. He couldn't do shows anymore because he was watching the game too analytical. So this year, I've gone back to being a fan. And I watch the game, and I message you, and I message Lee, and I message Conor Ryan. But with it being a late game, and I know the Discord thread is growing, I decided to step into the game day thread this week. And the Detroit play, I'm smiling because as soon as they did that trick play, I love a trick play. I love George Kittle. So there was so much in that play that just had my head spinning. But Najee was the first one to point out Detroit ran that play earlier in the game. Then I think someone tongue-in-cheek was like, are you sure, Najee? So you must have repeated it, Nick, about 4 times. So we got the gist that Detroit had ran the play, but it just added to the banter. And then you watch it back, like you said, he flicks it up to, I think, is it CMC first, who flicks it to Debo, flicks it to Brock. And what's even more impressive when you watch it back without the emotion is Brock knows he's going to get hit. Now, I'm not going to compare quarterbacks, but we all know a quarterback in our not-so-distant past wouldn't have taken that hit. And Brock not only took the hit, but he delivered the ball, like you said, to a wide open Club 85, birthday boy George Kittle. It was just magnificent. It was, as Lee Gowland said, fantastic. And for me, that was the play that was the play of the game for me. Before we move on, I asked the chaps on the pod last night that they had to give me their one play. I've said that was mine. Is that the one you're sticking with? Or is there another play from this amazing victory that you will, when someone says to you in a few months' time, remember when you beat down Dallas, what would be the first play that comes to your mind?
To be honest, I think the first play that will come to my mind, weirdly, won't even be a passing play. It'll be Jordan Mason. It'll be Jordan Mason running through, pointing to the end zone, going, I'm on my way over there. And I was beaming. Absolutely beaming. It was just all around. I mean, you can go through many. I think Ray's just popped one in there. Fred's punch out. You know, there are so many spectacular plays. Dre Greenlaw, some of the hits he made, he and Fred were special, man, last night. I don't think there's a team in the league that could have run on Dre and Fred yesterday. So, yes, I keep saying yesterday because I don't think I slept properly. I'm not going to lie. I did have a couple of shandies and a couple of whiskeys and a couple of rums. But, only a couple. It's all good. But they were just all over. They were unplayable.
So, because the chat's on fire, I want you to drop in the chat what your play was. Now, Lee, come on, stop picking fault. I'm just saying, for us that were in the Discord chat, it had that kind of it had to be called that because of the way Nadji went on. And Ty, maybe because obviously you weren't in the Discord chat there, Ty's put it's a Walsh play. Mike learned it, passed it on to Kyle. Bill Walsh forever. So Ray is talking about the punch out. Jay Peplow, the fist of red. Simon, never need to apologise for being late, buddy.
Never, mate.
And Ty, you know it's our love. Now, whilst Ty is here, I don't know if you saw, Nick, that Ty's been out to Levi's recently.
Indeed.
And there's a good friend of ours on social media who does some fire graphics, and he took a photo of Ty stood outside Levi's, and he's turned it into a graphic. And if Ty needed to look even more like the rock star that he is, I'm going to have to tweet it out after the show. But Ty, I'm hoping you're going to bring your A game to the Buccaneers game. As you can see, we're all very excited this week, 49erFaithfulUK. And more importantly, Nick, Lee wants to know, did you have a golden mule?
No, I didn't have any ginger beer. It was just with some cola. I'm not going to lie. By that point, I was several sheets to the wind. I was gone. I was really quite tipsy by that point. I didn't care. It didn't matter what it was. It was going down. Honestly, if there'd been a bottle of white wine in the fridge, I think I probably would have drunk that as well. I'm glad there wasn't. Oh my gosh, the hangover the next day would have been horrific. I don't think there'd have been much strutting going on, that's for sure. But yeah.
So Ty's favourite play of the game is Mitch's punt to the 1 yard line, which my boy Ronnie Bell was there to secure that. Martin or Don, favourite play was the rocket to be that was called back for a flag. Brock sent a similar rocket to Debo. The utter disrespect shown to Dallas was off the scale. Now, a few people in the chat have referenced Micah Parsons and his interview where he was given that it was personal. And I have seen Debo's response, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Dan has put there that Kittle's crossfield runs, just grabbing everything. Go back to Martin's comments. Your neighbours are going to find this show on YouTube, and they're going to come on one week. They're going to be in the chat, and they're going to say, and
I'll be in trouble that day that gets found.
See, for me, I don't know whether it's the fact that I've cut out alcohol at the moment and I'm taking in all these games, but I've said it for months now, Nick. Being a 49ers fan is so bloody great at this moment. I can't remember the last time that we all sat down and in a huge game like this, it was just easy. It was, dare I say it, effortless. There was not any point during the game where I was worried. Now,
No.
People might think I'm being critical here, but Brock, when I've watched the tape back, did have a couple of passes in the first half that were a little bit behind his receivers, possibly could have been turned into turnovers. But you need to create your own luck in this NFL.
Yeah.
And I said this last week to the chaps, we would be mourning Fred Warner not getting a pick. And I said, the ball just needs to bounce the right way. Now, I should be putting the lottery on this week because sayings like that, the ball needs to bounce the right way. That fumble recovery was a thing of beauty. Fred Warner getting a pick. Now, I did say Dak Prescott would give us a couple of interceptions, Nick, but I didn't foresee 3. I didn't foresee a fumble recovery. And I just enjoy it, people. Now, we're going to jump all over because that's what we do. You can't mention Brock Purdy without mentioning Christian McCaffrey. There's a lot of people, Nick, who say Christian McCaffrey has made Brock who he is. Now, Christian McCaffrey had his most pedestrian performance of the season. The poor bloke only averaged 2.7 yards per carry on 19 attempts. He only had 2 receptions for 27 yards. He also fumbled in the red zone.
Yeah.
However, I love that man. I love 23. The jersey's on the way. I will not have any CMC hate.
No slander.
No slander.
No slander.
But I think you need to put that into context, that Brock Purdy put that performance in without arguably his best weapon performing on the night. What did you make of CMC? Because I'm not worried, but I just wanted your thoughts.
Not remotely worried. It was pretty clear from the beginning that is who the Cowboys had keyed in on. You've got 11 men on offense, and they prepared for one. They prepared for one player. That's a pretty shocking stuff, really, from the Cowboys. They did okay in shutting down CMC, but what he on those 19 running plays, he forced them to stay honest. Because all right, he wasn't having the best game. We stuck to that run game. We kept bringing those defenders down. They kept having to come towards the box, and Brock just kept putting it over the top. Bring him in, over the top. Bring him in, over the top. Fine. We still battered them. All right, players can have slightly lesser games. No one's perfect. There's no such thing as perfection in professional sports. It's never happened. It never will happen. These things are going to go down from time to time. But at the end of the day, he still went in for a touchdown. He still scored. He still carried on the streak of how many games in a row with a touchdown. And that is with all of the focus being on him. He still scored. They couldn't actually fully stop him for an entire game. At the end of the day, who cares?
The reason I asked the question, Nick, is we're picking hairs as 49ers fans. So basically, I've just said CMC had a quiet game. We all know that if you establish the run against Dallas, you've got a good chance of beating them. Likewise with us. Now, the Niners ran the ball 41 times for 170 yards, averaging 4 yards per carry. So where CMC had a quiet game, and Ray, I was getting to your comment saying the worry is that CMC is being targeted by teams. I think it was great to see Jordan Mason. You alluded to him earlier. The touchdown. I'm not normally one for a cheeky Taunton celebration, but the second he broke through that gap and he put his hand up,
you knew it.
I mean, Mason, team leading 69 rushing yards, a touchdown on 10 carries. Mason is a starting caliber running back in the NFL. You could argue he's our third choice running back at the moment.
Yeah.
At the moment. Now, we are going to show Jordan some love. I've been well documented, because I'm allowed to say that on this show and it doesn't count. I've had the clearance by Lee Gowland.
Oh, I don't know about that. I reckon it might count, Paul.
It doesn't. I've got a lot of them saved up because I made a note not to say it on the pod. But I've been high in the Jordan Mason trend, and I want to see him get more carries. And I think that'll do as good as a team if Jordan can see more of the ball. The fact that we're sitting here, 42-10 winners, and we didn't even play any of the starters in the fourth quarter. Now, there's been a lot of talk, Nick, about the offensive line, about the struggles of the offensive line, and that whilst we didn't give McCaffrey some of the sizable holes in previous games, Mika who, should I say, 2 pressures.
Yeah.
He's arguably the most dynamic pass rusher in the NFL, if you believe
Didn't
all the
see
Cowboys fans before the game. What did you make of the offensive line, buddy?
They done a damn good job. They really did. They protected Purdy. Like you said, you know, that was. I'll be honest. I've seen one site actually go as far as say that Parsons only actually managed one QB hurry, one or two. Either way, that's shocking for someone who's supposed to be the premier pass rusher. He was non-existent.
Hold that thought a second. Here's how excited the chat is. So Cubs just got here. Hi, gentlemen. Hello, family in the chat. Next comment. What we're all thinking.
Love it.
So
absolutely.
Sorry. And whilst I've interrupted you, we've got a task in the 49er Faithful UK. So Rob, who's a good friend of the show, he sent me this on the John Chapman show earlier. So he met a chap from across the pond at a New York City Niners bar on Sunday. We need to know who this faithful is, because what I love about this community is, look at that. Some guys watching a game in New York in a bar from the UK. Mm-hmm. Someone goes over to him and says, 49er Faithful UK, you watched the live? So, Nick, we can officially say we're international, buddy. We are international. Baby. But on a serious note, Rob, I appreciate you sharing that story, and hopefully we can find out who the member is from the group, and we can.
That would be awesome to find out.
But
right, yeah. To uninterrupt myself, then. No, it is. But I say they were absolutely fantastic. Why on earth they thought it was a good idea to put him opposite Trent Williams all day? That is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my life. Honestly, that is by far and away the dumbest defensive decision anyone has made in probably many years of the NFL. If you have a man who is supposedly the best pass rusher in the entire league, why are you going to line him up against Trent Williams? Why are you going to forego the opportunity to have an instant one-up? You know, McKivitz is still, you know, he's still testing the water. He's not Trent Williams. Why would you forego that opportunity? This is why you see Bosa so frequently on the left side of our line, because he's going to go up against the right tackle. You do not line your best player up against the best left tackle in the league. It's moronic. Absolutely moronic. Dan Quinn deserves to be fired for that decision alone. That decision alone should earn him the sack. That was horrific. He was set up to fail, and Trent just went, all right, no worries. I don't care who I'm up against. I'm going to beat you anyway. He destroyed him.
Gareth, everybody's favourite host, keeps me in check on a Tuesday and a Monday and a Thursday. Nick tries to keep me in check on a Tuesday, but it doesn't work.
Usually fails.
So Gareth has put there, he reckons Parsons wanted to beat Williams on prime time to put the polish on his defensive player of the year chances. And as Gareth said, actually, you read silly that because it'll sound better in a Welsh accent. Go on, say it again.
Silly boy. Tut tut.
But Cubs has put there that this is what they did in the playoff game. And now, when I did my scouting report on the defense before the game, I did allude to that the Cowboys have kept a lot of the staff on the defensive side of the ball. Like you said, Dan Quinn's still there. Mm-hmm. They kept all the starters from last year. They added Gilmore. And I don't know whether it was a case of them believing their own hype, but like you said, they came into Levi's and they did the same thing, thinking they'd get the same results. Now, I did say to you off air, you look at the stats, Brock, 17 of 24, 253 yards. Dak Prescott was 14 of 24 for 153 yards. Now, 3 is the magic number because Brock had 3 more passes than Dak, but Dak had 3 more interceptions than Brock. we said off air, Nick, and I wanted to get your thoughts on the perception of what a good game looks like for an NFL quarterback. And I was quite stunned to see that they both had 24 pass attempts. But you talk about the premier pass rush in the NFL. I don't think of the Cowboys. Who do you think of when you think of the premier pass rush?
The San Francisco 49ers.
Now, Dak Prescott was hit 9 times, 7 of those by the defensive line. He was shaken up by the pressure. Now, it didn't show on the sack sheet However, look at the turnovers. Look at how Dak Prescott played. But the
Far
two
more
quarterbacks
important.
looked a million miles apart.
Absolutely. This is it. I mean, a stat can be made to do anything you want it to do, but you need the context to go with that. Now, what Brock Purdy did with his context tore. Well, I was going to say a naughty word then, but they did tear the
Family
Cowboys
friendly,
a new
no
one.
swear words on this show.
They tore the Cowboys a new one. Dak did no such thing. With his contact, he was awful. From start to finish, he was awful. And you can say that probably about the majority of the Cowboys team. I don't really see anyone for them who stood up to be counted. And if you look at the game, there's the one thing I put in the group, caption this photo. And you've got a look of absolute disconsolation. I'm saying the word wrong. It doesn't matter.
He's so excited he can't get his words out. That's normally me. He swapped roles. I love it, Nick. I love it.
He looks disconsolate. It does. He looks horrific. But if you look at the scoreline at the bottom, that's only halfway through what we scored. Now, if that's what you're doing halfway through the game, you've got no hope. They look lost. They look lost all the way throughout. You could see it in their faces. There's been reports of bust-ups in their changing room after. And to be honest, I'm not surprised about that. I would kind of expect there to be bust-ups if the roles had been reversed and we'd been outdone so easily by our biggest rivals. You know, I'd expect that as well. But we ruined them. Absolutely ruined them. The Cowboys are nothing. Take them away. Don't want to hear from them again now till next year.
Now, I make no apologies, everyone, of being a 49ers fan. I'm very biased. I love my team. And I've been saying for the last 2 years, the chemistry in this locker room is absolutely amazing. Yesterday on my lunch break, Nick, Tracy was at work. I had the house to myself. So 49ers highlights, 49ers press conferences. And the confidence flown through the team, but it's a team mantra. Like you said, Micah Parsons is all about himself. Simon said there, he obviously thought he'd beat Williams all day. Overconfidence was there, overconfidence was their undoing. So you've rubbed off on me, Nick. I can't get my words out. Now, CMC, Brock Purdy, George Kittle, Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, they're all team players. And the chemistry in our locker room is unbelievable. And it's starting to show on and off the field. Now, we did make a signing before the game. So our awesome pass rush is getting even better. So Randy Gregory, he of the $80 million contract from the Denver Broncos, we've got him for an absolute steal. I think we've got for a bag of crisps and a couple of draft picks out there. But it just goes to show that what John and Kyle are building. Now, yes, I've seen there's a few concerns over his character. But the reason I've linked this in now is our locker room can look after him. You come into a contender. You come into a team that wants to win it all. There's no egos here. And the fact that Kyle Shanahan has shown, I mean, Trey Lance, how awful did he look on Sunday? Like, he just looked like a lost little boy. I don't blame him in that uniform. But at the end of the day, now we're in a win now mentality. And I know some people probably wanted us to trade for Surtain from the Broncos, but I like what we're building. Still could, yeah. Now, before we move off, Fred Warner has had a lot of love. What's your thoughts on our linebackers?
They're the best linebackers in the league. It really just comes to that. Fred is the best linebacker in the NFL. Fred and Dre are the best linebacker pairing in the NFL. And they showed it last night. There is absolutely no one that could have touched them. They were spectacular. Wherever the ball was, so were one of they. At least one of them. They're absolutely magnificent. You know, they do the post-game interviews, and you can pretty much guarantee that if they interview Dre, he's going to big up Fred. They interview Fred, that he's going to big up Dre. You know, they really do love each other. They, I can't remember who put it up on social media. Again, apologies for those who did, but they put it. There's a picture of Fred and Dre, and then you got a picture of Willis and Bo, and they're the same photo. And you can see why you'd say that. They love each other. You know, they are absolutely fantastic. They are perfect for each other. Absolutely perfect. Their games complement each other so beautifully. They have absolute trust in each other. And you can, as you said, that trust doesn't just exist between those two. It does. It goes throughout the entire team. You know, they are there for each other nonstop. You've got Nick Bosa, the highest paid player outside of being a quarterback in the league. He's not out there complaining that he's not getting more opportunities to make sacks because he's in there making opportunities for his teammates to get sacks. He doesn't mind that.
The reason I asked about the linebackers and it being plural, I'm not going to take anything away from Fred Warner. Don't worry. 54's getting his flowers in a moment. But Warner, Greenlaw, and Burks combined for 18 tackles, 3 tackles for a loss, 2 sacks, 2 passes defended, 2 quarterback hits, 2 interceptions, and a forced fumble. Now, that was the linebackers. That wasn't the whole defense. That was the linebackers. Now, at that level of production, it's impossible to miss when you're watching the game. Brian Baldinger is a favorite of mine. Twitter, go on there, follow that guy. The breakdowns he does on both sides of the ball. But he put one out of Fred Warner, and Fred was commanding at the line of scrimmage. He's moving up and down. He's screaming orders out. And like you said, Nick, they're all one unit. They're all listening. Mm-hmm. They're all talking to each other. Now, I've just read the stat line out there. Out of that, Fred Warner, that could have just been Fred Warner's stat line. He was the standout. Now, I don't think we call him All-Pro Fred anymore. He's a generational talent. But Martin might have just dropped the first of I've seen All-Pro Dre. Anybody?
It should be. They should be. They should be the All-Pro pairing. They really should. I'm not really seeing anyone that is playing to that kind of level. You know, not at the moment. There's a long way to go in the season. We are only 5 weeks in. But at the moment, you've got to say they're the premier linebacking pair in the league. And like you say, fair play to Oren Burks because he's been phenomenal. I think he graded as the second best graded player in the game.
Yeah, so as Simon's put there, the angles of pursuit were perfect. I mean, the one where he's covering CD Lamb stride for stride, and I know the ball didn't go there in the end. So 54 is Simon's next jersey. Now, I normally hang a jersey up behind me. Did I go with Club 85? Did I go with Bosa? Did I go with Fred Warner? I've equally got a difficult decision to make for Sunday because I don't know which jersey to take. I'm not going to lie. As Cubs has put there, the 0 tandem in all of the NFL that's better than Fred and Dre. No wide receiver duo, no lineman. Now, it's interesting.
Yeah, I see that.
That we've come on this show tonight. We've handed the Cowboys a smackdown and we're talking about the defense. And I think it's important because many a Dallas fan will tell you that this Dallas offense was a thing of beauty. They didn't have Pollard in the playoff game. Pollard was fully fit for the full game. And I tell you what, after Dre Greenlaw sat him down on that sideline, and I'm not going to lie, I thought there's a flag coming here. But fair play to the referees. The referees reffed that game in the manner that it deserved to be. They knew it was prime time. They knew it was 2 heavyweights going toe-to-toe. Mm-hmm. Well, supposed to be going toe-to-toe. But that set the tone. And as Alec has put there, Dre cut out the flags and Tony Pollard didn't want to know. And as Cubs has put there, you referenced that photograph. I did see the photo. I'll get it tweeted out after the show. And a few weeks ago, Nick, me and you were ahead of the curve. I did, or would you rather? And I asked you, would you rather have Willis and Warner or Greenlaw and Bowman? And I think a few people laughed that we were talking about those heady heights already. And now look.
Getting there. They're not far off. They really are. Really, to be honest, I think realistically, I think maybe that question is no more than a season away. Because they've been doing it now for a number of years and they've been playing. as 49ers fans, have known how good they are. It's only really in the last year that the rest of the league and other fans are starting to see from Dre what we already knew. We already knew what they were and what they were going to become. We've known this for several years, but they're only just seeing it. And it's wondrous to behold.
So, as Simon's put there, it's easy for Dallas to bully the poorer teams, but when the bigger kid arrives, they get a beat down. Now, Lee, he'll be rocking the generational talent Fred Warner along with his 49er Faithful UK patch. Now, the problem I have, my Fred Warner jersey is the gold one, and I've told everybody to wear red. So I can't rock up to the watch party in a gold jersey when I'm telling everyone to wear red. But before we move on, I started this comment earlier. So Dan is a fairly new member to the group. He appreciated the shout out a couple of weeks ago, and he's just put there, Nick, that the 49er Faithful badge on the shirt and his flag got a lot of attention at Tottenham on Sunday. And he really appreciates Lee sending it out on time. So big out to El Presidente. And Dan, we do appreciate you rocking. You do need to send me those photos so I can get them on Instagram and I can get them on Twitter. Now, Nick, before we move on, is there anything else that you want to talk about this wonderful game? Because I think there's plenty we could talk about, but you're the host. You're supposed to keep me in check tonight.
Nah, we know how this works. We're just going to talk about anything and everything because it's all absolutely magnificent. You know, it was everything. It was from start to finish. You know, we really could go in. We could deep dive on anyone. He's been mentioned in the comments once about Wisnowski. That beautiful punt, absolutely magnificent. Mwah! The Thunder from down under destroyed them. We didn't even need to use our kicker, but on his conversion, still remains perfect, baby. Every last thing that happened from the moment the coin got flipped, it just went perfectly. The Niners, they had their plan and they executed it as close to perfection as almost humanly possible. The whole thing, I mean, it was awesome, dude. I mean, what come on, you must have something in mind here. Come on, mate.
Well, for those people who know, the 49er Faithful UK has our own podcast, and we do a preview pod before each game. Now, I'm sure you listened to such podcasts, Nick, ahead of Sunday's game.
Of course I did. I seem to remember a small prediction, only a little one.
Well, Mr. Simpson, you've been very quiet. I want my flowers because if I got this wrong, you'd have had that pen and paper out, buddy, after that horrific would you rather the other week. So what Nick is alluding to, you good people, is Club 85. We're known on this side of the pond for rocking with our boy George. The first watch party after COVID was down in Bristol, and we all rocked up in our 85 Kittle jerseys. Literally all of us. 85 all over, and that's where Club 85 kind of was born. Now, in this team of superstars, when you've got CMC scoring 4 touchdowns, you've got Deebo Samuel doing Deebo Samuel things, and you've got Brandon Ayuk going for 148 yards. No star shone brighter than George Kittle in prime time. He only had 3 receptions for 67 yards. But those 3 receptions was the first time in his career, Nick, that George scored a hat-trick of touchdowns. Another record to add. Now, I did say before the game, the type of defense Dallas plays, the cover 1, the cover 3, George Kittle will eat all night long. And boy, I should have put the lottery on because I am definitely over the moon that we basically got it right. And I'm even more delighted that Alex Simpson has put that the pod prediction last week was almost as good as Kyle's play calling. And I just wanted to throw that out there, a bit tongue-in-cheek. I'm a fan, first and foremost. I'm not an expert. I love this team. But what we're growing on this side of the pond, we're trying to demonstrate that we do watch football. We do have a little bit of knowledge. But yes, what did you make of Club 85's birthday party on Sunday? And when he lifted that shirt up, hang it in the Louvre. I've already tweeted that out. Hang it in the Louvre.
I mean, just for that alone, put him in the Hall of Fame for that alone, to be honest. You'll see a number of those T-shirts being sold now over the coming weeks and months. I think I might have to have a little look for one myself, to be honest. But it was just another one of those games for George. You know, you leave that man alone at your peril. You don't leave George Kittle that unguarded. He just destroyed them. It didn't matter what he seemed to do. He was on the line. He was taking out pass rushers, throwing blocks whenever he fancied, and then, oh yeah, okay, I'll do 3 catches, but I'll score all 3. You know, George Kittle just doing George Kittle things. King George himself, easy. He absolutely lit the day up.
Do you know what made it more impressive as well? When he played against the Cardinals, he had 1 reception for 1 target for 9 yards. But if you go back and watch that game tape, when he hits people, George Kittle is as happy hitting people as he is scoring touchdowns. But I said it last night, I'm going to say it again. There's no finer sight in football than George Kittle running into that end zone and spiking that ball. It's just
poetry
fantastic, to quote Lee Cowland. Now, there's a few comments that I've starred that I want to get on there. So Simon's put the cheeky flicker to 85 was his favourite play. Yes, Jay, given that I'm 43, I do feel rather old, but yeah, Kittle was born in 1993. Let's have a little look. There was a couple of others. This is the one that I wanted to put on there. Show my boy Gareth the love. Mitch is underrated. How many times this season have we seen opponents operating in their own end zone? All pro Mitch. We just call them all pros. It's just going to be easier. Just going to be easier. Now, Dan, as you're new to the group, I will allow you. I'll let you off of this one. Let's have a look. I've started his comment. So he's asked Nick, how does he send the photos to us? Now, I'll forgive him if he's not following us on Twitter yet, but after the show, he better be. So just get yourself over to Twitter, Dan, at 49erFaithfulUK. If you're not on Twitter, hit us up on Instagram, Facebook, or send me a message on YouTube. But basically, I'll send you my email address. Anybody who's representing the 49erFaithfulUK, send me the photos and I'll share them on the Instagram. I'll share them on the Twitter account. We're a community, Nick. And he's put there that he's got one with the Dallas helmet with the faithful flag dropped on it. Just think we can trigger an entire fan base again when I drop that tweet out there. And
beautiful. Get on. Love the work, Dan.
And I agree. The protection of Purdy was impressive. And I think the offensive line is going to get better and better. And don't worry, Cubs. We knew it was Kittle's birthday. We had to give the birthday boy a shout out. He made my 40th a couple of years ago when he shouted me out on Twitter. I've returned the favour. I'm not taking it personal like he hasn't seen it, but I'm trying.
He might be a little busy, in fairness, so we'll give him that.
And Cubs has put there that a play to Ayuk was better and it didn't count because of the Burford penalty. So I've seen a lot of people talking about that play being their favourite one. And then the very next play was that one you talked about, the 3rd and 14 to Debo. So
that was beautiful. I mean, to have the presence of mind to not get down about the fact you've lost a 40-yard play, to go, all right, then, fine. You've taken away my 40-yard play. What am I going to do? I know. I'll throw a 42-yard play.
It's just that poise in the pocket. I mean,
it's fantastic.
Don't worry, people. We've talked for 49 minutes, and we could talk for another 49 minutes about Brock Purdy. Alec has put there, Kittle not being tackled is embarrassing for the Cowboys. And then Cubs has responded, the Cowboys getting on the plane was embarrassing to the Cowboys. So I like that. And Dan, this is what I'm talking about, buddy. Look at this. He only made a Facebook account so he could join the group. So if you're in the group, Dan, just send the photos in there. You'll have probably seen Andy Smith's epic photos. El Presidente has given me the Instagram login. So yes, people, you'll have noticed there's been a sharp upturn on posts. And Cubs, we have got a sales post going on at the moment.
There is.
So we haven't forgotten you, buddy. I know you're not on the Facebook group, but El Presidente is aware. Hit me up in my DMs and I'll send you the details because you have to pick a certain size flag.
Yes.
And then once we get the order, we'll get you one of those. Now, Nick, let's have a little look. So Alec will be rocking his Juice jersey.
Oh, like it.
What jersey are
44.
you going to be rocking? Because we're at that time of the show
Yeah.
where we need to talk about this week and what's happening.
Well, this is the thing,
on Sunday.
because I initially I had fully planned on wearing my Dwight Clark, Mitchell and Ness throwback, but I am very, very tempted to wear my Purdy, because my Purdy now has a cheeky little extra patch on the side here. So I don't know. The thing is, I have been wearing Purdy all season, and I'm massively superstitious. I don't know. I pick up new ones every year. At the start of every season, I ditch the old superstitions because they belonged with the old team. It's a new team, therefore I need new superstitions, and they grow as the season goes on. Now, at the moment, I noticed actually that after both of the first 2-week victories, I ate a pot of ice cream. So now I have to eat a pot of ice cream after every game we win, or it might affect the next game. It's stupid. I know it is, but
I'm not laughing because it's stupid. I'm just when Tracy watches this back, she'll know I'm not the only one who does stupid stuff like this. So
it's silly little things, you know. It's always making sure that on Sunday morning I put my left sock on before my right sock. Now that one stems from playing back from when I played soccer. I carried that through to playing flag football. It's those silly little things, but that's what my Sunday is about. It's about I need to hit certain things during a day. So not wearing Purdy could throw that out of my window. So I might have to. I think I'll have Purdy. I might wear Dwight, and if anything starts to go wrong, I'll have it as a quick change and just in case. Because I'll have to have my rucksack with me, because I'll have to have my walking stick. I'll have to have my bottle of water for after on the walk back to the hotel. There are things I'll need because of the illness. So, but I'll have to have Purdy will be in the bag. I think I'm going to start with Dwight, and Purdy can be in the bag just in case. And
so
if I start to get nervy, that's when you know I'm nervy, because I'll have switched to Purdy.
So what you're telling me, you've taken a leaf out of Gary Thorpe's book. So everyone remembers Gary, an admin member of the group, came to the Leeds watch party last year with about 18 outfits, and he stuck true to his word, and he got changed at the end of every quarter. But all jokes aside, I'd ordered a CMC jersey because we're heading out to the gold mine, and it's en route from the States, and I was going to save it for the gold mine game.
Save it.
It hasn't arrived yet, but I keep checking that dispatch email. But I think I'll save it for that. But I'm torn between the gold Fred Warner jersey and the red Bosa jersey at the moment. They're my choices. Now, the watch party has changed its venue. It's at the Broadleaf Sports Bar, which I'm reliably told is to the left of Tower 42 on 25 Old Broad Street in London. You did have to register for a free ticket on the 49ers website. So I just want to point out that this is an official 49ers UK watch party. We are working closely with the Niners, but it is their watch party. You have to register for a ticket. You have to download the app. You get a digital ticket, and it goes in your Apple Wallet or Google Wallet, whichever one you've got. Now, 500 tickets were available, and they've all gone. Now, we're not expecting all 500 people to turn up because we've had this in Leeds. What we are saying to people, if you're based in London, if you're in London for the NFL game, you don't have a ticket for the watch party, can't guarantee entry. But what we're saying to people is if you do stop by the bar, the problem that you may have is there will be people who are at the game who might be running late. My good friend Andy Davies, who's a Dolphins fan, an accredited member of the media, he's coming along because of watch party. He wants to party with the 49ers. He went to Levi's, the Giants game. I'm giving him a cheeky plug, Nick. He did an epic vlog, which has got me more excited for the gold mine than he ever thought was possible. So I'm looking forward to meeting Andy. If you are a non-Niners fan and you're coming, you can rep your jerseys, you can rep your merchandise, but this is an official watch party for the 49ers. We will be supporting the 49ers. We will be cheering for the 49ers. Now, Mr. Farrell, I haven't forgotten your message. Now, he reached out to me earlier on Twitter, Nick. The 49er Irish faithful are also hosting their first proper watch party. They're going to be at the Buskers on the Ball, #1 sports bar in Dublin. If you're following me or if you're following them on Twitter, they've said you can reach out. So if you're in Ireland, if you're in Dublin, head over. I'm excited for these guys because I remember what it was like for our first watch party, and I'm interested to see the community grow. So I promised him a cheeky shout out on air. So I've done that. And yes, I will send you my number. You can give us a call, and that would be good to organise. Now, just double check. So Martin is undecided, either Club 85 or 1 or 2 ex-legends. Jay, it's only stupid if it doesn't work. I think this message is for El Presidente. So Cubs want a 5-5-3 flag. Colin will be rocking a Hafanga hoodie.
Nice.
And he will also be wearing Brock socks. I like that, Colin.
Yeah.
I'll be rocking my Debo socks. Don't know how breaking news this is, but Randy Gregory will be the new number 5, apparently, for the 49ers. Now, I believe Sky Sports will be there again, Mr. Peplow. The broadcast live from the event last year. They haven't released the Sky games this week, but I have a good feeling the Niners will be the 6 o'clock game.
We could be, let's be honest.
Kittle is en route to London, and McCaffrey at the meetup is the plan. Could you imagine? Neil, it'll be on the cards one day. I know Lee was keen to get over to Dublin for a meetup, so we will hook up with them guys at some point. And you no need to thank me. You reached out for a shout out. It's the least that I could do. Now, for those people, Nick, who may be wondering, we didn't do a Would You Rather tonight.
We didn't. But there's good reason, Paul. Come on, lay it down for us.
There is. So me and you have got a reputation of being quite evil to each other, shall one say.
No, you're evil to me more than the other way, but yeah.
It's fair to say we've both had our moments. Is that not right, Nick?
Yeah, I think that's that. Okay, I'll concede to that.
So I work in local authority. So today at work, it was pointed out that it was World Mental Health Day to me today. And we had some emails and some awareness around it being okay to not be okay. And on my train journey home, where I normally get my inspiration for being evil to my good friend Nick, I decided to take a different approach. And we're already, Nick, 5 weeks into the season. And you cast your mind back to when we put this idea together about the 49er Faithful UK live. And as much as we like to get one over on each other, at the heart of it, we're good friends. We message each other. I've had a lot going on this year, which I don't mind sharing. My personal life hasn't been the greatest for many different reasons. And I've had yourself, Kev, Lee, Gareth, some of the others check in on me. And I just wanted to share on today of all days, we didn't want to ruin it with a Would You Rather. Is that fair to say, buddy?
No, I think it's a really good thing. You know, it is an important thing to get out there that it is okay to not be okay. I've been at the very, very bottom of the barrel many times because of my illness. And I don't mind saying that. You know, it took me many, many, many months of therapy to sort myself out, to come to terms with this sort of this new reality of mine. But each and every time it's been the likes of yourself. It's been the likes of Kev that have been there. Simon, Tom Fulcher, you know, these guys, you know, you guys have stood beside me and you've helped me get back to the good times. And I think that's what we wanted to focus on today. On a day like today, you know, we do rib each other quite a bit. Even more so in the DMs, a lot of which we can't repeat on air. But you know, it's about being together. It's about the fact we are one fan base, and today of all days, we can leave that be.
Well, like we said, we're a community, we're a family. I'm so excited to be going to London for the watch party. Now, there's a lot of talk on which ex-49ers players will be there, what the giveaways will be. I don't mind sharing with everybody. What I'm excited most for is to watch 49ers football with my friends. Yeah. I won't be sat at home on my own on the sofa. I won't be DMing and blowing the internet up. Twitter will wonder what's happened on Sunday because there'll be no tweets because we'll all be together. And
Tumbleweed.
it's grown over the years. It used to be once a year. And that's what we said, Simon. You know, we just wanted, me and Nick decided off air tonight that we just wanted to kind of turn the spotlight on. All our DMs are open. We've got the Facebook page. We've got Twitter. We've got each other. Life is good at the moment as a 49ers fan. Yeah. It's exciting. It's dynamic. We've got a lot to look forward to, but we decided not to do a Would You Rather. Martin, I would sign up for that. Yes, I would do a live Would You Rather on Sky on Sunday. Before we finish off, Dan will be rocking his 23 jersey, gold chain, and Faithful flag for Sunday's first meet up. He's looking forward to travelling to the States with the Niner family. Now, what I wanted to say before we finished off, Nick, is if it is your first watch party, you've not been to one before, you're a little bit nervous. There's a lot of talk about the fireballs, about the drinks will be flowing, the energy in the room. If you want to come along and not partake in any of that, I'm teetotal pretty much these days. I won't be drinking on Sunday. If you want to come and stand and watch the game on your own and just be there, that's fine. But what I will say to people is the second you walk in those doors, you're not a stranger. You've got the SF logo. You'll have your jersey on. If you're a bit shy, no problem approaching. I can take you to the side. I can introduce you to other people. But I think I'm right in what I'm saying, Nick, that once you've been to a watch party, you'll want
to keep going. So I was lucky that the first one I managed to get to was Bristol, and it was just an absolute ball. You know, there wasn't a enormous crowd of us, but there you know, you're there with people that you will end up becoming friends with these people. Then they won't just be talking faces on a YouTube show. They won't just be avatars on Facebook or Twitter. You know, we become friends.
I still remember Manchester was my first one. I travelled down from Darlington because that's where I lived at the time. Got on the train and I thought, what am I doing? Going to meet a load of strangers off the internet. They actually warn you about doing this. And then I walked into
There are a lot of warnings about this, in fairness, and it's normally fairly good advice.
No, you're right. And Lee Gowland, straight over, massive handshake, massive bear hug. And I'm going to embarrass him. He's become one of my best friends. Lee is one of my go-to guys. I can't wait to go to Levi's. Lee said to me a couple of years ago he wanted to be there for my first visit to Levi's. And as Martin's put there, if you do want to partake in such enjoyment of fireballs, there will be plenty of them as well. I don't know how much pocket money you'll need. The raffles were done free of charge last time, Mike. So the giveaways were pretty epic. Mike, I'm sure you'll have something special for us after your Would You Rather, but looking forward to seeing. And I am looking forward to seeing people who I've not met before. There's Cubs put there on both sides of the pond. We are a family, and I'm just so hyped.
But this is it. There's no such thing as strangers. We're just friends we haven't met yet.
So I'm at that time, Nick, where I have to load the video up, right? I have to waffle a little bit. Now, before we finish off, I want you to give us one more how you introduced the start of the show. You said a certain catchphrase that I can't get out of my head.
What would it be? How about them Niners?
Until next time, Faithful, stay safe. Go Niners.
We love the San Francisco 49ers deep in our heart.